Good morning, everyone. My colleague Carlos and I are so glad to be here with you all to share about our recruitment efforts for the Oakland Teacher Residency. I'm Soo-Hyun Han Harris. A little about me, I started teaching in OUSD 21 years ago. I taught elementary for 13 years before transitioning to the recruitment and retention team, where I've been supporting teacher pathway development, and I coordinate the residency program. And I'd like to pass it to Carlos to introduce himself.
Thank you, Sian. Good morning, everybody. My name is Carlos Santana. I work here in the recruitment and retention team here at OUSD. I support the recruitment for the residency, but I also support the classified and central staff in the district in that regard. I was a former teacher. I taught 4th and 5th grade. Well, I started in preschool and then got my multiple subject teaching credential. And yeah, taught 4th and 5th grade for about 6 years now. So, or formally 6 years. So yeah, happy to be here and happy to share what we do in the residency.
Thank you, Carlos. We wanted to start with just a little bit of context for the work that we do. Oakland Unified is a mid-sized urban district. We serve about 34,000 students and employ about 2,300 teachers. And our district is extremely diverse. We're set in one of the most diverse cities in the US, and more than 81% of our students and families are of color. And also wanted to talk a little bit about the citywide context as well, because so much of what happens in our city drives our work. Oakland has, like many cities, just seen a steep rise in cost of living, especially with the Bay Area tech booms that have really spiked housing costs and gentrification in our city, which has, not to mention the pandemic, all of which have impacted our Black and Brown residents the most, which have led to declining student enrollment, which have led to school closures. So these are the factors that we're really mindful of as we work to support a sustainable career for our educators. Within this context, one of our district's strategic plan initiative focuses on developing a diverse and stable staff, and that's the umbrella under which the work of our team falls. And we've been really working hard to create a diverse and stable teacher workforce that reflects our students' backgrounds. But you can see that we still have a ways to go before most of our students can see themselves reflected among the teaching staff. But to that end, over the past couple decades, the work of our team has been continuing to expand and grow our own teacher pathways, such as the classified to teacher, after school to teacher, et cetera. And then the Oakland Teacher Residency is definitely one of those pathways. I'll pass it back to Carlos to tell us a little bit about OTR.
Thanks, Ian. So yeah, the residency, it's in its 5th year, which is like awesome. It was developed to provide access to the highest quality preparation and support, to educators who are committed to anti-racist practices, especially to those educators who reflect the critical identities of our BIPOC students. And so some of the credential pathways we offer, special education, STEM, bilingual multiple subjects, single subjects for diverse educators, and multiple subjects for Black male educators. And the partners that we have our Alder Graduate School of Education, BTEP, or the Berkeley Teacher Education Program, Cal State Teach, Cal State University East Bay, and then our non-IHE partner, Urban Ed Academy, which helps us with one of our pathways. And so just to get a little brief overview, kind of like on the resident side, we do offer a base stipend of $18K with a huge increase coming in January. We are fortunate enough to have an anonymous donor to give $12,000 to our Black and Latinx candidates. And then with the BEI grant, or the Black Educator Initiative grant, we have an extra $7,000. And then we do partner with a nonprofit organization that offers subsidized housing and or monthly stipends towards residents' rent. And so that partners Teachers Rooted in Oakland. And then we have, we braid other resources in to the residency, like our classified to teacher or after school to teacher for tuition costs. So if any of our classified or after school staff are interested in using the residency as their pathway to becoming an educator and a credentialed teacher, they were able to use and kind of use that funding towards their tuition with whatever partner they choose. So total, it's like 36,000 to 55,000 of a total package for some of our residents. And then, just, I know it's been mentioned before, but just understanding kind of like the data collection and what can we do to better support our residents even before they become residents, is to really provide like testing support, whether that's online test prep, tutoring groups, like a pre-transcript review, and then our partners with local can look for subject matter competency, and then working with local colleges to support our employees with classes that can meet the BSR requirement. And then when they are residents, they can attend monthly professional development, in the form of bringing in other departments and offices within the district that show the residents all the different resources and types of support that they can access once they're done with their residency year. And then for our mentors, offering them professional development opportunities through our new teacher support and development department. So really cool, full on support in that. And then, it's just really important to name these because these supports really help retain the candidates. We work hard to recruit, and we always say that retention is the best recruitment strategy. So part of the reason we're sharing these because some of these address some of the factors, folks that we've recruited. It's just a recruitment strategy. So we're on the recruitment and retention team, and we're able to navigate residents into like employment opportunities, connecting them with other members of our team to help land them a position in our district, providing them opportunities for mock interviews. TRIO, embedded in their program, have financial counseling, professional conduct. Some of our residents, might need childcare, and so supporting them in that, navigating systems which can be really difficult across the CTC and trying to find a job and coursework, and so navigating all those systems, bringing in the resident to support with affinity mentor matches, and then cohort peer support development. Our cohorts are really close, and being able to connect with each other, and then the accessibility to key people across the district or to the partners or in the residency. So really great support that we can offer in that regard.
This robust package, we're really happy to say that it's helped us to attract more and more educators of color over the years, providing access to this form of teacher preparation in ways that we haven't before. As you can see, we have higher than state averages for recruiting BIPOC educators as well as male teachers. The average male teacher in California, number of male teachers in California is at 27%, and we're at about 34 in the residency. Overall, over the 5 years that we've been operating, our BIPOC residents 76% of the residents have been BIPOC residents. This year, we're at 90, a little over 90%. And we can only attribute it to just the fact that we have concrete financial support, as well as the intangible supports that make it possible for it to be sustainable to go this route.
Yeah, so how do we recruit? It's really about using both outward and inward reaching strategies. Our robust grow our own pathways and internal outreach and development is more inward facing, and then we have outward facing as well as like in-state and nationwide recruitment. So we have so many different strategies because it helps us reach a huge range of teachers and diverse populations. In the next slides, we're going to kind of see how we are both using slow and fast moves, using written methods, visuals, leveraging technology, and of course, like, like being in the community. And so the first thing to kind of go is to look at kind of like the media and career portals that we really leverage all that technology. So we all know EdJoin. It's a great resource for recruiting those who are interested in education, and that's always going to be a place where we'll attract candidates. But there's so many other media career portals. I know it was mentioned earlier, but you have Indeed, Craigslist, even like using like our local East Bay Express, and then really looking into like Handshake, which I find to be a really great resource if you haven't already used it. It helps you to reach out to so many candidates at IHEs across the country. And then in addition, if I'm going to a graduate, like a graduate fair, a graduate school fair, or a career fair, it helps me create that touch point to folks who are interested in education or interested in working in a school district prior to me being on their campus, for those fairs. That way, they know I'll be attending the fair. They can stop by for more information, or give them some swag. So Handshake, it's very similar to like LinkedIn, but it's specifically for like colleges. So they partner with colleges in a way where I can send a message to, I can create a campaign, or I can send a message to all the seniors or all the alumni that are signed up onto Handshake at a specific school. And then, I typically send that maybe a week or two prior to me going onto their campus, send it to everyone who's interested in education. And then, I kind of send up a follow-up, like, or, like a week before, maybe a couple of days before, like, hey, please feel free to come by, grab some swag, and kind of, I can go more in detail, get their information, and go more into detail about the residency or any of our other pathways in the district. So really, I think Gina said earlier, right? Like you go to a STEM fair, and they might not, like students or candidates might not necessarily know that this could be a pathway or a career for my degree. And so saying, hey, I see that you're interested in like mathematics. And so like, would you ever be interested? Please come by, like we have great pathways for you to become an educator. And this is the type of support that we can offer at our school district. And also here's like a water bottle or a mug for those really cold days. So just great resource. And I use it a lot. And I think it's definitely gained some candidates that, in Southern California, Arizona, to come over to the Bay and be in our residency. So really cool resource to use. And then the next one, so going into like the network, it's really important to use like our internal and external networks. Someone always told me like someone always knows somebody else, and so really using those flyers, email blasts, that are cross-functional. So something you can use both like as a flyer in person, but also easy to transition to like social media, or even to link in your campaigns. Really cast your net really wide, get your information out there, and really, some folks just don't know they can become an educator, and so really just making sure that then like this could be a way for you to enter, that first step into being an educator is just getting it out there. And then internal communication like networks is like super important. We have a huge pool of substitutes, teachers with emergency permits, classified staff, and all those residency adjacent positions, which could be, great places where we can get candidates for the residency. And so in regards to those many teachers on emergency permits, a majority of those teachers are teachers of color, and they happen to be people who are part of our community already. And so we're finding that a residency, especially with a strong package, could be a great option for them and anyone to continue with their career as an educator. So really changing that way. And then one of my favorite like ways to recruit is going into the community. Last Sunday, not yesterday, but a week ago, I was at the Dia de los Muertos festival in Oakland. And, I've always thought that presence is the best present. And so showing up in your community for your community is one of the best recruitment strategies. It's really awesome just to see like our own students or our own families be happy that we are there. And, what better way to recruit our own community is than to be with them at these events. So we have the Dia de los Muertos, Art and Soul Festival, Black Joy Parade, Life is Living Festival, Oakland Pride. And there's so many we go throughout the whole year, and not just during the recruitment season, but to really plant that seed, hand out those flyers, make those connections, and then, show them that this is a pathway into being an educator and that they too can be a part of the work that we do here. So, yeah.
We also, thank you, Carlos. We also meet regularly with other partnering organizations that partner with the district. We share about our information sessions and the recruitment process. And really our aim is to find the mutual benefits of partnership, which means being able to both refer candidates to these programs as well as inviting them to our recruitment events, aligning our calendars for the year and getting the word out about our program. I just wanted to mention after school programs. Historically, there has been kind of a competitive, there could be a competitive relationship because everyone's trying to get candidates. But if you actually look at the data, which we did a few years ago, we looked at how long the average person stays in an after-school program position. And we found out it was 3 to 5 years because it's not sustainable for long-term career development unless you are in a leadership position. And so we're really looking into how we can use after-school programs as a kind of a hub site or as a place where educator development can start before people enter into the residency. Just wanted to put that plug out there. We've also made a couple of videos, recruitment videos. This first one was the creation of this one was spearheaded a few years ago by Zaya Vera, who actually ran the Oakland Teacher Residency. And it was made using a mini grant from the California Residency Lab. It's linked, so when you get a chance, we hope that you'll have a chance to take a look. Next slide, please. And then this one, this video was created last year. It's just recently set to go live, so that should happen in the coming weeks. And this was the Urban Ed Academy, one of our residency partners for the Black Male Educators Multiple Subjects Pathway partner, oversaw the production of this video, which was created by Youth Beats. And this will also be posted and shared widely, as is the other one. And both of these videos are great because not only do they provide strong arguments for why this is the most robust teacher preparation method, there's a really high emotional appeal. I'll just leave it at that. A great argument for why the residency is such an optimal pathway. Okay. Of course, a significant amount of our recruitment is also carried out by some of our residency partners, and these efforts can range from candidate referrals and collaborative information sessions to statewide recruitment. In the case of our partnership, again, with the Urban Ed Academy and Cal State Teach, they even Urban Ed Academy conducts annual HBCU tours for the multiple subjects for Black male educator pathway. And our most responsive partners add additional wraparound supports that aid with retention once we have interested candidates, like supporting with transitioning to Oakland, providing additional stipends, or support with paying for things such as fingerprinting and the certificate of clearance, other CTC documents, as well as social emotional supports, identity development, affinity-based support. So as we mentioned earlier, we do have a robust test prep support program, and some of our partners also augment test prep in a way that's embedded with the program so that folks can actually study with others in their cohort. So definitely worth mentioning. And then, of course, we have our internal recruitment events, as well as Carlos said, the external recruitment events that we attend. But wherever we get our candidates, wherever we're making contact, really, we try to direct everyone as much as possible to our monthly information sessions. And then we make sure to follow up with anyone even remotely interested for a one-on-one conversation. We feel like that personal touch has been significant, and also doing some career counseling and credential counseling in the process. So we understand that there are factors outside of our control, and we know that attrition is a normal part of the recruitment and retention process. But we're always interested in the factors that cause residents to withdraw or be unable to continue. And of course, their experiences in their actual placements at the school sites is one area we have less control over, but which is the heart of the program. So we have been incredibly fortunate to have the expertise and support of Dr. Travis Bristol of UC Berkeley in helping us understand some of the push-pull factors for residents at their school sites through a research partnership. So they're doing interviews with former residents and current residents to understand what have their experiences been like, where places where support could have been more robust. So we're looking forward to a final report this school year to help us understand where those opportunities lie. We have been wanting to take a look at this data for a while now, and so full transparency, this presentation really provided the opportunity and time for us to take a step in that direction. We've been curious about how our residents are actually getting to us and whether there are any correlations to retention. So it's interesting, though maybe not that surprising, that the majority of our residents come from partner and internal recruitment efforts, with about the same retention rate for residents coming from both of those sources, meaning that those candidates are still in the program or in the district in their service years. So one thing that this data kind of made us think about is the role of human contact and information sharing as a possible factor in drawing people toward the program. In my anecdotal experience, I'd have to say that those who feel connected and have trust with those who are supporting are more likely to stay engaged. And the other sources, we invite you to take a look at this slide later, but the other sources have fewer numbers, and I felt like they probably need, we need more longitudinal data to draw really any conclusions there. Okay, I'm going to end. There's a lot of words on this page, but I just want to pull out 2 or 3 highlights here. A couple of principles that we're living. These are learnings that we're living into. So we're definitely presenting as we're still in process and development, and there's a lot for us to learn. But a couple of things that have really stuck out to us really is that having a residency that's embedded within an infrastructure for longer term career development has been really helpful. So supporting the development of candidates toward teacherhood and beyond, and also, like Carlos said, having residency adjacent positions for candidates who are not ready now to gain more experience while they satisfy testing requirements. It's been just helpful to have the before and after like nets so we can keep candidates warm and position them to jump when they're ready. Carlos had mentioned retention as a recruitment strategy. So ensuring that robust supports are present to minimize the attrition for those in the program and at the sites. And strong partnership with school leadership at sites so that they're mindful about residency support and development. And that includes teacher leaders at the site who are often the ones who are carrying out the day-to-day support of new staff. And I love that Networks, Rebecca really lifted this up, and I'm looking forward to reading her, like reviewing the slides. Residents as recruiters, we kind of dipped our toes into this last year by connecting prospective candidates with individual residents for conversations. For example, there was a single parent. She was really unsure about whether or not the workload would be too much. So I was able to connect her with a current resident who was also single parenting. And, doing that process, I realized that I had to feel pretty confident that the residency was good because I don't know what residents are actually going to share, right? And so part of that was just maintaining close relationships with the residents. So we know how they actually feel and what their experiences are. Um, so that yeah, the importance of that was just really highlighted for us as we were connecting residents to prospective candidates. We also did for the first time an end of year celebration where we invited incoming, current, and past residents to start building those networks so that residents could be of support to one another. And one place we'd love to aspirationally dive into this year is using some residency capacity funds to have residents be part of a panel for prospective candidates with targeted questions that really highlight, workload, social emotional support, et cetera, all of those factors. So candidates can have a sense of what it might really be like to be in the program. So I'll stop there. And that's it for our presentation. And I don't know if we have time for Q&A, but
we will make time. Any questions out there, whether you want to put those in the chat or just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask the questions you have now.
I'll unmute. Hi, Gladys Villanueva. Thank you so much for your presentation. It was super engaging and informative. I love this idea of retention as the best recruitment strategy, so I wanted to echo that. But following, I see here in your Live Into Learnings slide that you have mentor development as a retention strategy, and I'm wondering what you mean by mentor development or what that might look like.
Oh, I love that you asked that question. And I'll try to keep it short because I could talk about this for a very long time. But, in my experience, I feel like I don't have the statistical data for this, but I feel like by years 5 through 8, I remember in my own teaching career, you're starting to kind of look around if you're not really growing and thriving in your teaching career, you're starting to look around for other prospective positions. Like, what else could I be doing? And I feel like a great retention strategy is then tapping into those experienced teachers to become mentors in the district as they're thinking about where else they might go. And so we've been able to really do some deep data dives into our dashboard, find all these mentors, all the teachers that are working but haven't taken on a paid mentorship role, and finding out how we can support them to become mentors. And doing hub site development as a part of that. Like, where are the school sites where we'd like to transform the school culture to become learning sites by developing the teachers that are there. So really thinking about really the retention of everybody, all the teachers in the district. And I'll stop there because I could go on. I hope that addresses some.